Hello and welcome to Podcast for Students, brought to you by Jobs for Students, a free weekly newsletter which helps you find jobs around your campus, as well as internships, graduate jobs, and all the latest student news. If you haven't signed up yet, join 13,000 students and graduates who've already signed up by going to j4s.careers. That's j4s.careers. My guest today is Maebh Reynolds, a recent mechanical engineering graduate from Queen's University Belfast and founder of a company called Goplugable, which is the Airbnb for EV charging. While at Queen's, she also worked as a waitress in their catering department, working at events with big names, politicians, celebrities, and most notably Hillary Clinton. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode with Maebh.
Hey, Maeve, thank you so much for being on the podcast. So you're a recent graduate of Queen's University Belfast. I'm also from Belfast, and you studied mechanical engineering. So congratulations on that. Now, most people's university journey would usually start at 18, but your university journey started a wee bit before that. Tell us about that.
So I was actually pretty around Queen's from around 16, and I'd love to say I was doing a PhD at 16. You know, when you read those magazines and articles, kids in America, they're like way far ahead. No, I had a catering job through Queen's, working for their campus food and drink. And I started there when I was in school. So always really wanted to go to Queen's, always loved the vibe of it. Couldn't wait to start going there. And then I worked that same catering job all the way through my studies, and I had a ball. It was just such a great experience, and I actually really miss it now as well. They're such a great team, and it was brilliant to be part of all these crazy events, like being part of the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement most recently as well. So yeah, I loved it.
And I heard you got to meet some famous people.
I did, yeah. I mean, a lot of people, famous people, pass through Queens. Yeah. So we've had, Hillary Clinton a lot, of course, as the chancellor. We've had, many different politicians, celebrities. I know Jamie Dornan just recently graduated, but I was not working then, so that would have been
Oh.
nice to serve him. But yeah, a lot of really big faces around, and it was like class to be part of all that.
Yeah, and around campus, and is there anything that made Queen's special for you, or is there anything that you would recommend someone at Queen's does that they might not know about?
Um, I think when you're a student at Queen's, it's really hard to like smell the roses and like enjoy it sometimes. Like you sometimes take it for granted, like how gorgeous it is just to walk through Botanic or, go through the Ulster Museum on a Friday morning or whatever it is. But there's so many nice spots, like the QFT is amazing. Junction in the School of Law is a really nice spot as well. But yeah, I think when you're in the depths of exams and coursework, it's hard to really take it in sometimes. So I think if I was a student again, not that I'm not that long from being in Queens, but if I was a student again, I would probably appreciate it a bit more.
Yeah, and what made you study mechanical engineering, and tell us about your placement as well.
Yeah, so during school, I was always good at maths. It was always something I enjoyed. But I think, like most people, when they go to make the transition to university, you don't really have a clue what you want to do. And for me, engineering was an easy choice in that there's a lot of flexibility in what you can end up doing, and especially mechanical engineering. Like it's the most flexible, you can go into structural or, biomedical type stuff. And I always found that really interesting. So for me, it was just try and pick something that would give me the most options. And I did really enjoy the course. There's a lot of maths involved as well, a lot of innovation, problem solving, a lot of creativity comes into it as well, which was great. And I think the part I probably enjoyed about it most was my placement and actually getting to put into practice the work I'd learned. So during my placement year, it was in the height of the pandemic, which was a very strange time to go off and do a placement, as the whole world was shutting down and people were scrambling for placement opportunities. It was really, really tough. So during then, I applied to ISD, which is an international exchange for placement students in more technical degree programs. And I got a placement opportunity working for Danfoss in Denmark in their headquarters. So that was really amazing to go off to Denmark in the height of a pandemic by myself. And it was like quite scary at first, to take that big leap at a time where it was a bit more difficult. But I think, the confidence that I built from that experience really has stood by me today. And I don't think I would go off and do my own business if I didn't have that confidence behind me.
Wow, so you mentioned there your business. So what is your business? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I co-founded my business Goplugable. It's essentially an Airbnb for electric vehicle home chargers. So the idea is if you want to buy an EV, but you don't have your own driveway, or you live in an apartment or a rented home, that you can borrow someone else's charger. So if you have a charger and rent it out, you can make passive revenue on infrastructure you already have, and then someone who uses your charger has the ability to plan and schedule their charging in advance. So I'm not an EV driver myself, but I love the EV sector. I think it's so exciting and there's so much new development. But if I look at like myself and other recent graduates and students, especially if you consider, the Holy Land, Stranmillis area, it's a nightmare to even get parked, never mind charge a vehicle. So I think, there's a massive gap in the market there for more charging options that are just easier for people to navigate. So that's where the idea was really born out of.
Agreed. And what made you want to do it as a business, and like what at Queen's like drew you to starting that as a business?
Yeah, so I think, I started Goplugable my final year of uni. And even in the weeks before I took the plunge, like I had no idea I was going to go off and do my own business. Like I'd always heard stories about some engineers going off and doing their own thing, and I thought it was amazing, but for me, unattainable. Because there are a lot of challenges ahead. Like there's a lot of things you don't know. There's a lot of things in university can't teach you other than the life skills that are really needed for business. But I just decided, I'm in my final year. We'll see how this goes. If it falls through, at least it's a good CV experience. But it actually ended up being a lot bigger than that. And I am working full time on Goplugable at the minute. And we've just launched the beta version of our platform on the App Store. So yeah, within less than a year's time, we've now launched, and hopefully we'll have our first paying customers come January in the new year. So yeah, it's just been like a crazy whirlwind experience, but I don't think I could have did it without the support from Queen's, and more specifically SU Enterprise. They have a great team of advisors there that will help you answer any questions that you need a hand with. They'll help you with the next steps in your business, and they really, walk you through all the essential steps that you need to build you up for success. So I'm really grateful for their support.
Wow. So Queen's and specifically SU Enterprise, but you also mentioned that something else that's helped you along the way is ChatGPT, and
Yeah.
I feel somewhere you said it was your chief marketing officer. So tell us about that.
I know on our website in goplugable.com, we have like a bit about our team, and we're a very, very small team at the minute. And ChatGPT is actually listed as our CMO, or Chief Marketing Officer. And whilst we do have a CMO who works with us, and we can announce a bit about that in January, ChatGPT is our right-hand man or woman, so to speak. I think everyone, whether you're in business, university, school, like ChatGPT is such a massive asset. And AI is such a great tool to have. And there's so much potential with it, but then also so many questions of like what this means, and how to use it properly and in a way that, is beneficial for you. So yeah, we love ChatGPT for everything: marketing, content creation, like those brutal application forms for grants and competitions. They always come in handy.
Wow. And yeah, and just since you mentioned there, so you've like raised like some money already, and I know you're in the process of raising more. So how did you raise some money already, and what advice would you have to students who are thinking of doing that as well?
Yeah, so I think for every startup or business owner, it doesn't matter what sector you're in, whether it's tech or a product or you're offering a service, the three things you need is time, dedication, and money. And like time and dedication, you yourself, you can figure that out and try and make ends meet. But the money question is one that you really do have to grind to go out and get if that's not something that you have already. So obviously being a student, freshly graduated, I didn't have a lot of my own disposable income to throw at trying to set up my business, but there is just so much opportunity out there for funding to get you started. So we have been bootstrapping, as it's called, which means, relying on limited resources. Usually that means founders' own funds, but for us, that has meant more, money through grants, competitions, accelerator programs. So through things like Queen's Dragon's Den, which we won last year, the Tech Start Proof of Concept grants, winning Catalyst Invent, we've been able to raise just over £150,000, and it's all been equity free. So that has been a main driver in our success. However, it seems that when you build a business, the base becomes bigger and it takes more to feed. So we are raising equity fundraising at the minute for VCs and angels. So we're looking forward to that, and that should help us accelerate our business and be able to take it further and build our team.
Wow. Well, good luck with the fundraising for this big beast that you have created.
Yeah.
And I could talk all day about this, but we always sort of end these interviews with, if you could go back to and have a few minutes time with a younger version of Maebh, who just started maybe at 16 her catering job at Queen's. What advice would you give her? Maybe one practical and then maybe one more aspirational.
Yeah, I think I'm very much a person that, like, even if I could go back, like, there's maybe some things I would have messed up or did a few mistakes in. Like, for example, I wasn't the most academic in uni. Sometimes I was like sliding by and found it really tough. But I think all the sort of learning curves are so important, so there's nothing I would really do differently. But I think the only advice is to it's kind of going back to what we said earlier, just kind of taking life as it comes and smelling the roses while it's there. When you're at uni, people always say it's meant to be the best years of your life, but rarely do students think that when they're in the depths of everything that they have to do for uni. But it really is, I think just to make most of every experience as it comes. I probably would have got involved in more clubs and societies early on to really enhance my experience. But yeah, I think that's just about it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Maebh, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and maybe in the future we can have you on again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
Bye bye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Maebh as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you have an EV or you're just interested in Maebh's business, go to Goplugable. And if you're a student or graduate, check out Jobs for Students, our free weekly newsletter which helps you find jobs around your campus, as well as internships, graduate jobs, and all the latest student news. Just go to j4s.careers. And as always, let us know who we should be interviewing next.